Dr. Rahul Raj.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm fine.
So I'm at the moment I'm in Korea.
Maybe my internet connection is a little bit poor. I don't know. This voice is breaking many times. I'm in a remote place. Okay.
Rahul, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, I think we can start.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, please.
So, greetings to everyone gathered here on this occasion of Gandhi Jayanti. Am I audible, sir? And
Yeah, you are.
okay, sir. Okay, sir. So, greetings everyone gathered here on the occasion of Gandhi Jayanti. I am Rahul Patel. Heartily welcome you to celebrate this moment, that day along with us. And on behalf of IIIT, I welcome Dr. Rahul Raj, sir, a special guest for today's event. Respected Director, sir, Professor J.S. Bhatt, sir, respected Deputy Registrar, sir, HODs of CSE and EC Department of IIIT Surat, and all the faculty members, dear students. So, 2nd October, every year India actually celebrates in remembrance and in honor of birth of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi as the Gandhi Jayanti, who famously known be Mahatma Gandhi, as well as the title of Father of the Nation by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is given for his relentless struggle for our independence. So, firstly, I would like to invite Dr. Nisad Deshpande sir for a few words to introduce this event and start the event. Dr. Nisad sir.
Thank you, Rahul. Good morning to all present in this event for the celebration of Gandhi Jayanti, along with us at IIIT Surat. As already Rahul mentioned, that 2nd October is celebrated in the memories of our great father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi, whose full name is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. We all know that his ideologies and principles are always inspiring to all of us, and accordingly we are trying to follow his ideologies. The main thing that Gandhiji gave us is ahimsa, satya, and tag. So this is what the three ideologies which will help us to grow in our future. Secondly, on the same day, we cannot forget our great leader, Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, who was the second Prime Minister of India. He also has contributed in the freedom fight enormously. Also, you can say that his contribution was related to the war which he led, India and Pakistan war in 1965, which he was leading as a Prime Minister. And through this war, he gave a slogan that is Jai Jawan, Jai Kishan. We already know all this. This is a very famous slogan which inspired all the Indians, and we could come forward and win over this war situation. Not only that, the important point is today I could remember and recite these very important lines that दे दी हमें आज़ादी बिना शर्त बिना दान साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल. तो ये कमाल जो किया है हमें जो आज़ादी देकर, मुझे लगता है कि ये सबसे सराहनीय है. And we today are here to revive all the values and ideologies of these great leaders and to know more about them. We are gathered here. Once again, I welcome you all. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nisat sir, for your words. So, once we all know that Albert Einstein's famous word for Mahatma Gandhi is the generations to come will scarce believe that such a one that is ever in flesh and blood walked upon this earth. So, what this generation thinks about Mahatma Gandhi as well as the second Prime Minister of our nation, beloved Lal Bahadur Shastri, who is also born on the same day. So, from the second year of IIIT Computer Science student Ishit Agrawal will give few words on Gandhian philosophy and on Lal Bahadur Shastri. I will invite Ishitva to have a few words on the occasion of Gandhi Jayanti. Ishit.
Yes, I am here. I'm audible, sir.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. So, सत्य का तेल अहिंसा की बाती अमर ज्योति जलती रहे तेरे पद चिन्हों पे बापू दुनिया सारी चलती है. Good morning, respected director sir, our chief guest, Dr. Rahul Raj sir, my faculty, and my fellow students. Today we all gather here to celebrate the 152nd birth anniversary of Father of Nation, Shri Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. And at the same day, the whole world celebrated as an International Non-Violence Day. And as we all know, non-violence is one of the main pillars of the Gandhi's ideology. And by this ideology, he not only cleaned India but also cleaned the dirt in the countries like South Africa while practicing law over there in his early ages. And after that, he came back to India, and then he became India's greatest freedom fighter. And while his freedom struggle, he led the satyagrahas like Champaran Satyagraha, which was his first satyagraha. And then it led by many other satyagrahas like Quit India movement, Khilafat movement, and then it ended up with the India's freedom with the satyagrahas like Quit India movement. And a wonderful fact is that we all know a very famous campaign led in India right now by our respected Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, the Make in India movement, is also started and held by Shri Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi while his starting satyagrahas in Ahmedabad, in which he sit in the front of Ahmedabad mills and created his own cloth khadi and encouraged the whole country to wear it rather than some old-fashioned and expensive foreign clothings. And there is a fact that we cannot forget. At the same day, there is another legend born in the India, and we cannot forget his contribution to Indian country and Indian economy. He is none other than the second Prime Minister, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri. He was India's one of the greatest Prime Minister and also a freedom fighter who contributed from a very early age with Gandhi and Nehru in the freedom struggle. He is the one who bring the schemes like White Revolution, Green Revolution, and as well as the slogans like Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. And on the top of that, he led the Indian country very fiercely and very greatly in the year of 1965, while the time of the Great Indo-Pak War was on his peak. And after that, he signed a peace treaty in the Tashkent, Uzbekistan, where he took his last breath and at the date of 11 January 1966. These are the two great legends of India who shares the same birthday. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's a fate. And we can learn so many things from them. And these are the few things and few part of their history which I shared with you. And now I would like to end this speech with a few lines over the Shastri. सादगी ईमानदारी यही थी शास्त्री जी की पहचान. छोटा कद महान व्यक्तित्व और जिगर में स्वाभिमान. सत्ता पाकर भी नहीं था जिनका भी अभिमान मंत्र अनोखा दिया राष्ट्र को जय जवान जय किसान. Thank you for giving me your time and thank you for listening. My name is Ishit Agrawal, third semester, second year, IIIT Surat CSE. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this honor, sir.
Thank you so much, Ishitwa, for good speech, Shri Mahatma Gandhi, and of course, Lal Bahadur Shastri. So, as we all know, we have a special guest, Dr. Rahul Raj sir, today. So, I would like to invite first Dr. Anirban Roy sir for the introduction and welcoming Dr. Rahul Raj sir for today's event. Anirban sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Patil. So it's time now to introduce the speaker for today's celebration, Dr. Rahul Raj. So Dr. Rahul Raj is currently an assistant professor at the Center of Korean Studies, School of Language, Literature and Culture Studies at the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. Earlier, he has worked with Sejong University, Seoul, as an assistant professor, South Korea, at the Department of Asian Studies and the Department of Hospitality and Tourism Management. He received his PhD from Hanyang University, Seoul, South Korea, in International Studies in the year 2014, and the Master of Philosophy from Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi, 2008. He has vast experience in language literature as well as in cultural studies and has delivered numerous talks on these subjects in many countries like Korea, Japan, Vietnam, and India. His articles have been published in famous newspapers like the Korean Times, Korean Herald, UNESCO newsletters, Times of India, etc. Dr. Rahul Raj has received several awards, such as the Outstanding Scholar Award by the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Government of the Republic of Korea, Jugang Ligo Award for the outstanding performance in Y20 Summit, Y20 on the lines of G20, etc. He has significantly contributed in studies of Indian and Korean cultural values, and I'm sure this today's talk on Indian values and ideologies will be beneficial for all of us. So, with this, I warmly welcome Dr. Rahul Raj and invite him to deliver the lecture.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you are.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here. I would like to thank Indian Institute of Information Technology, Surat, its director, S.R. Bhatt sir, and also Dr. Nishad Deshpande for inviting me to this auspicious occasion of Gandhi Jayanti. And as few speakers have already spoken, it is also the birthday of our former Prime Minister late, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri. So it is a very important day for we Indians. And in fact, at the moment I'm in Korea, and Gandhiji's ideals is also very relevant in Korea because India and Korea, we got independence on the same day. Of course, year was different. 15th August 1945 in Korea and 15th August 1947 in India. So whenever the Koreans they talk about independence or nationalism, of course they talk about Gandhi, and not only the Gandhi's ideals or the work towards independence, but also towards the human values. So it is very important not only to commemorate Gandhiji's birthday, but also to follow his ideals, especially in this gloomy time of global pandemic and unfortunate violence which is taking place in different parts of the world. And while talking about the Gandhi's values, even United Nations has termed this Gandhi's birthday as International Non-Violence Day. So we often talk about Gandhiji's freedom movement role, but there are many other things that we also need to focus on that part. And while Gandhi's played a pioneer role in India's freedom movement, Lal Bahadur Shastri led India towards progress. So, and he laid the foundation of Green Revolution, and his famous quote is still revered by many Indians, as has been already quoted, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Gandhiji was very much touched by the deeply ingrained malice in the Indian society in the name of caste system, and he has focused on untouchability. While focusing on independence movement, he thought that if the women are not included in this part, in this movement, then there is no meaning of this independence movement. So he also focused on expanding women rights and above all self-rule, that I will talk a little bit later, how it is also very much connected to what we say today, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Gandhiji tried to instill the essence of self-rule and independence in a very logical way by implementing what in our everyday life. For example, when Quit India movement Asahयोग Andolan start हुआ, then he asked his followers, other countrymen, that British, they take our cotton from us, manufacture the cloths in Manchester, and then bring it back and sell to us. So actually, we are paying our own cotton price. So he asked why we need independence. Because we are independence means that we have to instill this idea of independence in our body also, in our everyday life. So we are wearing British clothes and still asking for independence. Then he asked that make your own cloth, wear one piece of cloth, but wear with dignity. So if we today it relate to the present time also, we say about this country is not doing good to us or it's very bad. For example, we have a very difficult relation or not a good relation with China. So we say boycott, but other in the next day we are using the same product. So when we are saying of Gandhi's ideas, this is the idea that we even not only and that on that part British today use our own products but use with dignity. Otherwise, what is the meaning of that we can challenge China and other countries? So that was an idea that we are one piece of cloth, we are with dignity. Other aspect was that he similarly on touching and joining the common man, poor people, saying if they are not involved in this freedom movement, then there is no meaning of independence. I am very much sure that most of you, or I think all of you, have seen Gandhi's movie, and in the starting you might have seen how he asked his wife Kasturba Gandhi to clean the lavatory, and there was a kind of like hot argument. Now his point was that every Indian has to be involved in this work. Why some lower people or some different categories of people will work? This is our work. We should not be ashamed. Otherwise, if we are segregated in our own society, what is how we can fight against the British? So,
Hello. Is there an interruption? I think. Hello.
Yes, I think he might have lost his internet connection.
Yeah. So.
Tell some of the students to speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
If they are interested. Yeah.
Next entry. So I think continue with that schedule. Just a second. So I would like to invite Megha Singh. She is a student of second year ECE to recite a poem on this occasion of Gandhi Jayanti. So I'd like to invite Megha Singh from second year ECE.
Hello, sir.
Megha,
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
प्यार करो जिंदगी से, भरोसा रखो भगवान पे. Good morning, everyone. Myself Megha Singh. I am from EC second year student. My poetry is not on Gandhi ji. It's on Gandhi ji ideology. The person who believe in peace, believe in God. Instead of learning life, he believe in living life. My poetry is तू जिंदगी को जी, उसे जानने की कोशिश ना कर. तू जिंदगी को जी, उसे जानने की कोशिश ना कर. सुंदर सपनों के ताने बाने बुन, उसमें उलझने की कोशिश ना कर. अपने हाथों को फैला, खुल के सांस ले, खुद में घुटने की कोशिश ना कर. मन में चल रहे संघर्ष को विराम दे, यूं खुद से लड़ने की कोशिश ना कर. कुछ बातें छोड़ दे भगवान पे, सब कुछ खुद सुलझाने की कोशिश ना कर. जो मिल गया उसमें खुश रहना सीख, जो सुकून छीन ले उसे पाने की कोशिश ना कर. रास्ते की खूबसूरती का लुत्फ उठा, रास्ते की खूबसूरती का लुत्फ उठा. मंजिल तक जल्द पहुंचने की कोशिश ना कर. आखिरी मंजिल तो जिंदगी की मौत है, आखिरी मंजिल तो जिंदगी की मौत है. मंजिल पाने की जल्द में जिंदगी को यूं खत्म ना कर. तू जिंदगी को जी, उसे जानने की कोशिश ना कर. थैंक यू एवरीवन फॉर लिसनिंग मी.
I'm sorry, this network is a big issue in my hotel where I'm staying. So my deeply apologies. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
you're audible.
sorry, I'm connecting with my mobile not. So could you? I was talking about the how Gandhi focused on the society, and as well as what we say the women rights, the how to involve every Indian in the freedom movement. So I mentioned about he instilled the idea of or essence of self-rule and independence in a very logical way by implementing in everyday life, which can be understood by the fact that when he asked every Indian to give up this British made cloth, because British take our cotton and take it to Manchester. There they manufacture and sell us. So literally, we are paying for our own clothes. So he asked the Indians that if we want independence, we must understand the meaning of independence. It's just like while using British clothes and we are asking for independence, it doesn't make any sense. So, and that's his famous quote: "Wear one piece of cloth, but wear with dignity." In the same terms, today we can say that when we have difficult relations with China, and we say that we boycott this country product. China is not doing good with our soldiers at our borders, invading our country, and just out of this outburst, for a few days we boycott this Chinese product, but the same day, next day again we are using it. So if we have the Gandhian ideals is that if we think that they are creating problem, then where is our product? We should use our product, in spite of the fact that yes, today people can say that no, it's not good quality, but the same thing at that time also can be said that we used to make clothes from charkha, और उसमें time भी लगता था, coming to compared to British highly industrialized country, but उसके बावजूद गांधी ने बोला कि अपने से कपड़ा बनाइए और अपने पहनिए, wear one piece of cloth. तो same ideas can be आज उनको implement किया जा सकता है. Then he said about like how to involve the Indians when he was delivering a lecture, not lecture, speech after coming from South Africa. And he said one of the most important things. We few Indians among all the Congress leaders. That time Congress was very different from what present Congress party is, although they just love to utter this legacy, but hardly they follow. Anyway, so they said, he said, we fellow Indians, we give some speeches and we clap on each other's speech. And sometimes few so-called liberal British newspapers publish in their newspaper, not in the front page, in the back side, maybe third, fourth, fifth page. So that type of thing. But whether this speech connect our fellow Indian, our common Indian people, if it is not connecting, then how we can fight independence, fight for independence against British? So that's the another problem. So he said that we must go to village to reach the last man who can be connected and who should be connected. Then there is a meaning, that is the meaning of independence. We cannot fight only sitting in Delhi, Mumbai. At that time, Pakistan was also a part of India. So Lahore, these places. Then one time when he had interaction with Nehru, he said that why we fight for independence? Because just because we want to get power, what the British have the power, we want to get that power, and then what? We want to just rule. So independence it doesn't mean ruling. It may also means our common self-rule with sharing. So that's like it. Because what British are doing, if we are also going to do the same to our fellow Indians, the poor Indians, the low income people in the village and another, then what is the meaning of independence? So that was the essence of Gandhi's ideals in the freedom movement, we can say. So where he tried to connect each and every Indian to this movement. That's the most important part, because so many leaders have fought. Like it's not like that every leader has one person. But Gandhi's idea was that each and every Indian, even if it is very far, whether he can contribute or not, it doesn't matter. Even in 1%, that's more than enough, because independence movement, everyone is needed. Now we all know that India was under British rule for like 200 years. But what at that time, what was the nature? We understand the colonial rule at that time, and what was the nature of life, and we should question ourselves what made Gandhi possible. And along with the way, we will possibly consider Gandhi's place in world history, because the fact of the matter is he is a historical figure. As I mentioned in the starting, Gandhi is very much important in Korea. And not only in Korea, in any part of the world. I'm talking about Korea because I'm connected with the Korean studies, but even in other parts of the world, you can find it. In fact, when I was staying in Korea, and also I was teaching, library, a lot of books on Gandhi, even in their own language, and common Koreans also connect. Oh, Indo, that means Gandhi. So that type of idea is still there. We can see in Korea or in our other countries. You can see some countries they have wrote in the name of Gandhi. Now, so we can see like he's a historical figure, and we can even think of him someone as similar to Christ, Buddha, or any other religious figure, in spite of the fact that he is not the founder of any religion. Any religion he founded. But the religion associated with Gandhi. We often hear the word Gandhi, and people who are described as his followers are called as Gandhian. Oh, he's a Gandhian. So used to people still be in India. We used to call them the Gandhian. Although he was not the founder of the religion, as I mentioned, every person wants to connect with him, even in the 21st century. So that is the power, that is the importance of Gandhi, even in present day. Not we should focus only on his birthday, 2nd October, or just a few things, but like you see the power where he is connected, where how people are still getting connected with Gandhi. Unfortunately, you can find many people Gandhi adopting some of the manners. I mean, like large number of Indians hardly follow Gandhi in Gandhi philosophy or Gandhi principles. We just adopt, mimic them. We wear like Gandhi dress or something like that. But when it comes to real terms, how much we are connected? That's the question. Because what we say, adopting some of the manners of Gandhi, but not actually understanding what Gandhi stood for. Along with that, he's also a figure who is also viewed as politician. Now that is the is a debate, especially in Britain, but many people can also, even in India, can say. So he, because he was a man who was involved in politics, not today's type of politics, different politics where he was focused on independence. But this man also had, we have read about Gandhi, was a spiritual inclination. He has a spiritual inclination, sometimes viewed as saintly, rightly or wrongly. But he was viewed as saint, whether we like it or not like it, and many times criticized in modern day. Now, it's not only in India, but even outside India. It has become a fashion in India and outside to criticize Gandhi. Now, if you just want Google it, you just Google it, Gandhi and criticism and all these things, and you'll find those things. So there is a conundrum, dilemma, whether he was a saint or he was a politician. Now, you might have heard about that is one of the Gandhi statue in Ghana. It was removed because some people said that Gandhi was not against racism. He was more focused on Indians. But we have to judge something from that period of time. And even in that part, Gandhi has written in his book, My Experiments with Truth. If someone reads, if someone just loves to criticize Gandhi, then he should go, or he or she should go to that book. Then he will realize that how he has changed himself over a period of time, and that's the book called My Experiment with Truth. Now, whatever maybe people view, one can ignore it, one can like it, one cannot like it, but one may not cannot ignore it. His writings, speeches, and thoughts of Gandhi, which is still very much relevant today. Now, he wrote a lot about hygiene. Today, we are seeing Swachh Bharat, and we are trying to connect. Now, see, when I mentioned earlier about the independence movement, how to connect, how to make it our self-rule or Atmanirbhar in real terms. We common Indians, I have seen in my home state as well in Delhi. Of course, I haven't traveled a lot, and a few times I traveled to Gujarat also for my conference. But I found common one thing. Gandhi's philosophy was hygiene not only for our own home, cleanliness not of our own home, but for the whole society. So if we really want to follow his principles, his ideas, that means that it's not like हम लोग घर पे पूरा साफ कर दिए और घर पूरा गंदा रोड पे फेंक दिए. ये गांधी प्रिंसिपल है, और हम लोग कपड़ा गांधी जी की तरह पहने हैं. होना तो दोनों से कनेक्ट, नहीं तो उसका मतलब नहीं होता, कागज कहा जाता है. ठीक है. तो untouchability. Now you find we educated people are highly still believe in those orthodox caste system. Now, unfortunately, when I am in even in Korea, many times in the conference, people often ask this question: इंडिया क्या अभी भी कास्ट सिस्टम में बिलीव करता है? अपने लोग में अभी भी डिस्क्रिमिनेशन करते हैं. ये बात कहाँ से आई? गांधी जी तो चले गए, आजादी 47 में मिली, और अभी तक 2021 में भी ये क्वेश्चन चल रहा है. तो कहीं ना कहीं गांधी जी की फोकस जो अनटचेबिलिटी है, हम उसको फॉलो नहीं किए. हम बस 2 अक्टूबर मनाते हैं, लेकिन क्या आइडियाज उनको फॉलो करते हैं? अगर फॉलो करते ना तो 75 साल में हम लोग को ना हाइजीन इशू होता, ना स्वच्छता में हम लोग को क्वेश्चन मार्क रहता, ना अनटचेबिलिटी. सो दैट वी हैव टू फॉलो द आइडियाज. वुमेन राइट्स, you find we have a debate parliament for so many years that women reservation, but reservation की जरूरत ही क्यों पड़ी? हम लोग खुद देते, उनको अपना महिलाओं को अपना हक मांगने का जरूरत ही क्यों पड़ा? वो तो उनका जन्म अधिकार है, जिस तरह से। तो वो चीज था कि ये 3 चीज पे गांधी जी ने फोकस किया। ऐसे बहुत सारे चीज थे जो हमें बोलने में तो अच्छा लगता है, लेकिन एवरीडे लाइफ में इम्प्लीमेंट करने, आई डोंट नो विल एग्री। नाउ even we don't like Gandhi, and there are many other aspects that you can see in Gandhi, because as I mentioned, he was some people say spiritual, he was what we say politician. और मैं इन दोनों को भी आपको किसी को लाइक नहीं करें, हम इग्नोर ही करते हैं कि 20वीं सदी में हो सकते हैं कुछ लोग, ऐसे होने नहीं चाहिए। तो उसके बाद he was also he founded 4 newspapers because he realized that मैसेज कहाँ से जाएगा। अगर मैं जब ब्रिटिश आप अपनी इंडिपेंडेंस मूवमेंट है तो एक माध्यम। he founded one also journalist, and he was even in South Africa he wrote a lot. Now so you can say that he was what you say multi-dimensional figure. You can say saint, because and you can say freedom fighter, politician, so many things. But like आप तो IIIT में है, तो और IIIT और MBA वाला ये अगर एक आदमी अगर 5 काम करता है तो आप लोग यहाँ आप लोग ही क्या हम लोग भी कह देते हैं सोशल साइंस वाले मल्टीटास्किंग। बट व्हेन वी से मल्टीटास्किंग वी शुड नॉट फॉरगेट दैट मल्टीटास्किंग का भी एक नेगेटिव एस्पेक्ट आता है, क्योंकि हम एक आदमी से 4 काम करवाने को सोचते हैं और उसको बड़ाई भी करते हैं, लेकिन एक्चुअली पैसा ही बचा। गांधी जी वाज वेरी मच सेंसिटिव टू लेबर इशू ऑल्सो। अगर लेबर इशू नहीं रहता तो गांधी जी चंपारण पे नहीं जाते, वहां पे नील की खेती जैसे हमारे गरीब किसान के लिए हम नहीं कह सकते। तो वो सब था कि गांधी के ये इसको कैसे फोकस करें। आज मैं गांधी तो उनके 2-3 कोट्स बोलना चाहूंगा। ए मैन इज बट द प्रोडक्ट ऑफ इट्स थॉट, व्हाट ही थिंक्स ही बिकम्स। आप अगर जैसा सोच रहे हैं, अगर हाइजीन है, इफ वी बिलीव इन द गांधी प्रिंसिपल एंड हिज कोट दैट व्हाट वी द प्रोडक्ट ऑफ आवर थॉट, दैट मीन्स दैट वी शुड यूज आवर ओन प्रोडक्ट, दैट इज कॉल्ड आत्मनिर्भर, self rule. Self rule is not only fighting against the British but also our own product. In the morning today I was newspaper, and the government was criticizing why they are not using Korean cars, why they are using so that is called that the Koreans are focusing directly or indirectly related to the Gandhi's ideas, why we Indians are not doing that. The greatness of humanity is not in being human but in being humane. अभी इतना का समय है, बहुत लोग अनफॉर्चुनेटली बहुत जगह इंडिया में तो अच्छे खासे हो गए। हाउ वी कैन हेल्प पीपल, इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट आपके पॉकेट से 100 रुपया निकल जाता आप गरीब नहीं होइएगा, लेकिन हाँ उस 100 रुपये का भला हो जाए, दैट इज कॉल्ड ह्यूमन हार्ट। इफ वी डोंट हैव ह्यूमन हार्ट, वी डोंट there is no meaning of our PhD, our academic degrees or anything. At the end of the day, our heart hasn't opened, because education means the openness of mind, not only getting degrees and earning money. That anyone can do. Money तो कोई बना रहा है। Third, Earth provides enough to satisfy to everyone's man's need, but not every man's greed. So you can see what we are doing today, this global climate change, the pollution, environmental issues. We have extracted too much from our earth just for our own greed, और हमारी ग्रीड का कोई अंत ही नहीं है। हम लोग कहीं ना कहीं तो हमें बैलेंस होना पड़ेगा, ठीक है। So lastly, Gandhi, as I mentioned, he was a worldly figure and he is a world figure. Martin Luther King said, if humanity is to progress, Gandhi is inescapable. He lived, thought, and acted, inspired by the vision of humanity evolving towards a world of peace and harmony. We may ignore Gandhi at our own risk. So when I used to talk with some of my African friends, also when they questioned that, also in reference that Gandhi said about the blacks, no, he didn't. Why don't you read his book? His experiments, my experiments with truth. because we cannot judge everything from our present time. We have to see that time also. Maybe हमें भी तो कभी होता है ना कि हमें 5th क्लास या 6th क्लास में जो सोचते थे, आज हम ग्रेजुएशन में आ गए हैं, टीचर बन गए हैं, तो हमारी चेंजेस आई है. Now today, as I mentioned about everyone has mentioned, the second most important leader, Shastri ji, today his birthday also. So what I can say, Gandhi he laid the foundation and the work for the independence. Shastri ji fought for the progress, not in defense sector, but even empowering our poor farmers. So Shastri ji joined Gandhi when he was in his teenage, at the age of 16, and during, now everyone said about that Jai Jawan Jai Kisan. One of the most important aspect of Shastri ji is, during the India-Pakistan war, he stopped withdrawing salary. That's the greatness that we can see. How I can withdraw the salary when my soldiers are fighting and there is a food crisis also. At that time, he came with the slogan that we said, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Then he also played a key role in white revolution. Today we are enjoying Amul products. Amul, Gujarat is famous for that in Anand. So that's one of the also contribution of Shastri ji. So Shastri ji played an important role both in Green Revolution as well as White Revolution. And then how we find a commonality, there are several commonalities between Gandhi ji and Shastri ji, but one of the important aspects where I try to draw common things, in Shastri ji said, India will have to hang down her head in shame if even one person is left who is said in any way to be untouchable. So that's we have to focus, learn about Gandhi and Shastri ji. Gandhi ji and Shastri ji not only is just celebrating their birthdays as Gandhi Jayanti, but how to implement their ideas in our everyday life, whether it is cleaning, whether it is connecting with every Indian, irrespective whether you are from Gujarat, I am from Delhi, from Delhi, or some from Tamil Nadu. If we cannot connect our own people, then there's a problem. We are not following our Gandhi principles. Lastly, I will say, as Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will not forget what you have made them feel. And what is that? And that is Gandhiji's freedom movement that today we Indians are enjoying, and Shastriji's idea of Green Revolution, that we Indians are no more dependent on foreign food that it was in the 60s. So हम अपने पर हैं, सेल्फ आत्मनिर्भर जो कहते हैं. तो उनकी बात को अगर याद रखिए, उनकी बात को भूल भी जाए, लेकिन हम कहीं ना कहीं उनकी चीज को आज की डेट में एंजॉय कर रहे हैं. और अच्छा ये होगा हम उनकी बातों को उनके दिनचर्या में उसको. धन्यवाद. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rahul Raj sir, for enlightening us on Gandhian philosophy and how can rightly apply the values and this philosophy in day-to-day life. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Sachin Patel sir for the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Rahul. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I guess there are some doubts from the student. He has raised here his hand.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yes, Akash.
Yes, sir. Sir, one question I have to ask from Rahul, sir, as he is an expert on Gandhiji's ideology. Sir, did he really? Sir, I would like to ask him about Gandhiji's statement or ideology is type of contradictory or not? Because one side he is saying that we have to not, as he had started non-cooperation movement, and on the other side he is Gandhiji also helped the Britishers by sending Indian troops to fight for Britishers during World War II, and partition is also there. So it is a type of contradictory or not, according to him, sir?
Very good question. I will give you an answer by connecting it with similar incidents in Korea. And after explaining this Korea issue, and then I will come to the Indian and Gandhi, your question on Gandhi. Now, when Korea was also under Japan for almost 35 years, and Korea, the last dynasty was Joseon dynasty, and it was in the later phase, it was a corrupt system. Even Koreans accept it. Now, at that time, Korea is often called as shrimp among the whales. That's big powers like Japan, China, Russia, and America. And Korea is always the victim. People fight. So there was an enlightenment movement, and many Buddhists, they thought that China is no more a big power because Korea was a tributary state of China. China is no more a big power. Russia has already risen, and then there is a threat. So we should see toward Japan how Japan, which got the full development during Tokugawa period, just implemented like the Western countries industrial revolution. So they went to Japan. Japanese, they invited them, they accepted them, and they started learning the Japanese new technology. In between, Japanese forced on those Buddhists to you also learn about Shinto religion. Now, Shinto also pray our emperor. That's the thing that problem started to erupt. Now, today, many Christians, I have seen the articles also, they blame that Buddhists also supported Japanese colonialists, or Korean Buddhists were not very true patriots, something like that. But we see the situation. Korean Buddhists went to Japan from a very pure heart to learn technology. They didn't know this thing will happen. Okay. Now come back to Gandhi's aim. British promised that if you contribute your soldiers to this war against Germany, Axis forces, then you would get independence. Gandhi believed it, but they didn't. He didn't knew that British will change. That's a problem. So we have to see all the situation. Not we can take only one context. We have to see both the context, and then we should try to judge. Not that okay, why we contributed, sent our troops died for our colonialists, but the other aspect that they gave the promise, our leaders believe, and then the thing like we didn't get the independence. So it's easy today to blame our why our leaders were, or Gandhiji was not had that type of reason that he should not have believed. But that same question we are blaming to the Korean Buddhist. But a rational scholar in Korea also will think that we cannot blame those Buddhists because they went with a pure heart. They didn't know that Japanese will do like that. Okay.
Yes, sir. He was also a human being, sir. He can make mistakes too.
Thank you. And I want to add my apologies because once again, because of this internet, I started my mobile. I'm really sorry for that.
Yeah, yes, sir. During this pandemic situation, we don't have any control over the situation. So, yeah, it's fine, sir. Okay. So, thank you very much, sir. So, on behalf of IIIT Surat, I am very heartily grateful to Dr. Rahul Raj, sir, from JNU New Delhi, for giving his sparking words over and sharing his thoughts over the Gandhian values and the ideologies. I must remark a proficient sense of gratefulness to our guest speaker for sharing with over some of the finest ideologies over the Gandhian values, and also about the Shastri as our second Prime Minister. Here I am also thanked to our faculty for their presence for the celebration and inspiration at every point of time for the student events. Also, I am very thankful for our students for giving their thoughts and the presenting poems. Okay, so I thank our honorable director sir and Dean RNC Deshpande sir for taking their initiative for hosting Gandhi celebration, and I'm also thankful to our staff, non-teaching staff as well as the office staff for contribution over this Gandhi celebration. And I'm declaring the year as the end of this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone once again for joining today's event. The students, despite of their mid-semester ongoing and the Viva schedule ongoing, Saras team scheduling this event, and all the faculty members for joining, as well as the IIIT staff and dear students. Hopefully we will involve this Gandhian philosophy, the morals and the values in our life. Thank you everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rahul sir. Thank you very much.